today we'll start with hybrid IT architecture. Here we'll look at a couple of tools and the functions available that we would be running in a hybrid cloud architecture. So like today's session is much more interactive and having a good content to learn a little hands-on on doing creating the users, IAM users and the roles. So it'll be a little fun. So let's start with the content. So coming to the IT architecture, in this section, what we are going to learn in the architecture is networking and how the line on-site infrastructure with AWS. It's more of little bit networking side, the things which we are going to learn today in this session. This is again, you will be understanding common controls for kind of a security and how do we do the giving the access that we have talked about yesterday, right? We'll understand those aspects as well. And how do we integrate data and control lifecycle management, available tools for integrated resources and deployment management. So we'll get into the specific slide to understand the meeting content. Uh, One second. Okay. Yeah, coming to the network here. So here we have, like we talked about, couple of services which AWS is giving, and we'll talk specifically about networking based, services today. If you look at the, like a more outer wider area is inside the AWS, we have a VPC, which is a virtual personal computer, personal cloud. So here you have HDFC and Amazon Redshift and EC2. These are the VPC systems. And when it comes, I mean, these are all cloud-based systems. If you talk about, right? And AWS, SES, Amazon Glacier, first storage, and SQS for storing the sequence messages, and Elastic Beans. Everything will come here as a direct connect. So when we have the corporate data centers, which we are talking about typically, let's say if you have an organization where you have the corporate data center, and you would be connecting directly to Amazon Cloud using this direct connector, which is one of the services which AWS giving, which is a virtual AWS, a virtual private cloud services, right? So this is like one of the networking concept to connect your existing, corporate data center to the cloud. Okay. Coming to the next slide, the data integration and the lifecycle management. So in the integration and the lifecycle management, we'll talk about what is it going to give it to us and what are the kind of benefits that we are going to get it. So it's very much reliable and cost effectively break up and secure your data. So this is what we are discussing, day by day, like how AWS is secure your data if it is there in the cloud, right? And we can replicate the data across the geographical regions, which means, let's say if I'm hosting my data into one region, I have an option to choose another region and also, like load the data into the another region as well. So it's all, the business, how they wanted the data to be, spread into the cloud, right? So store into the cloud. It's not only just cloud provider wish. It's a business also wants to have the data into the multiple regions. They can even go and replicate the same data into the different regions by choosing the different data centers. And coming to the points here, like the storage gateway is a virtual machine, okay, and that we are going to install it in a data centers and configure to be associated with your AWS account. So AWS account is the key, which will connect to your different data centers, which are available in a different geographical locations. So that's about the storage. And coming to the gateway caching, you'll see, like, all Amazon S3 in your primary data storage, while when we are retaining this data from the different data from the different storages using the storage gateway. we can, which means like even if your data is there in a different storage or different S3 account, what it does, like through using the storage gateway, you feel that the data which is there in the different region also will be locally available to your system. So it takes within a fraction of seconds to get the data if the data is there in the cloud. And the gateway stored volumes let you store your primary data locally while asynchronously backing up the data into the AWS. And we have seen this asynchronously back, I mean, how the data will be stored, right, yesterday. The similar way, the gateway stored volumes let you store in the primary data center locally, while the backup will be stored in a different AWS without having any connection with the primary data center. That's the asynchronous storage that we have talked about yesterday. And coming to the next point, Amazon Simple Storage Service, which is Amazon S3, we'll call it as, which provides unlimited storage that is available for backup in and also the archiving your critical data. So it doesn't have any limitations on data which you're going to store it. So it is having the capacity to store bulk data, and it will archive your data periodically whenever you want it. Let's say in some business I have seen people wanted to store the data after 6 months, right? All the data which is the previous 6 months of the data they wanted to archive, because they didn't want it to have the data physically available, but it will be archived, and whenever you want the data you can retrieve the data. Okay, so that automatic backup process and archiving is also possible in AWS. Coming to the Glacier is an extremely low cost storage service for infrequently accessed data. So the cost is one of the things that we discussed yesterday. Though it's giving very much security to your data, it will have it is going to charge very less cost. That's where the AWS Glacier will also have customers used to take the data when it comes to the security. If they wanted very too much level of security, high level of security, and several hours are suitable to recover this data, right? It takes very I mean very several hours are suitable. Okay, and coming to the common controls for security and access. So here a couple of other uh, features or the components that we talk about is AWS identity and access management, which we typically call as IAM. Okay, so IAM will further go in the next slides and see what are the users, roles, and security which will be providing. But what this does is it does all your user control, user access to that particular services will be configured in the IAM, right? So this is the key thing when anybody wants to come into the cloud and access a specific services which are available. So you can have the control user access control mechanism using IAM, which is identity and access management. And coming to the next one, AWS Directory Service, which is managed service that connects you to AWS resources. So which is like you have a within on-premise Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory, or set up a new standalone directory in the AWS cloud. So the Active Directory, I think in most of the organizations they'll be having the Active Directory, right, with the organization, all the employees list, but they can do the integration with the AWS Active Directory service, which is with on-premise Microsoft Active Directory, and get all that information to your AWS Directory service without even interrupting or disturbing the existing Microsoft Active Directory. Okay, and coming to the next one, which is Microsoft AD, allows you to manage users, accounts, and the group membership. So whatever we have like all the user information, and we can create all the group policies and all uh, that can be managed without disturbing the existing Microsoft AD. We can use this even we can even connect to the Amazon EC2 instances and provide Kerberos based single sign-on. This is the authentication. So Kerberos is a single sign-on authentication, which anybody can enable this service, so that people who are having a Microsoft Active Directory, They can even have the Kerberos based authentication when they are coming to the AWS cloud. So this is one of the feature to multiple authentication. That's what we were discussing yesterday. So Kerberos is a single sign-on based authentication services. Okay, coming to the next slide, the common controls for security and access. So here, this is where we have seen Microsoft Active Directory. So here, if you have in any organization, mostly they'll be having Active Directory for like a different set of users, like a simple AD or AD connections or Microsoft AD. So you'll have the limitations on the number of users which they opted whatever the services here, right? So similarly, when we are taking that security and access to the into the cloud, it's a full down managed Microsoft Active Directory service that supports up to 50,000 users. And Simple AD, which is a small standalone kind of application, and which is also again a managed directory. Like it's available in both a small size and also the larger size. This is where it is it's identifying if the small how many users it is going to support. If it is a large, how many users it is going to support. So it has all the classifications here with a number of users which is going to be supported in this. So there is a AD connector which is used to connect your gateway, like a director gateway, to your proxy directory, request you to on-premise Microsoft directory. So like you wanted to connect with your Microsoft Active Directory with the AWS Active Directory, right? So you have to use this AD connector to connect establish this connection and get all the Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory information to the cloud. Okay. And coming to the integrated resources and deployment management, here what this particular service does is like it provides and monitor the and management tools with different robust APIs application program interfaces that can easily integrate with your AWS account. So in this case, we have two things, which is one is AWS OpWorks and AWS code deployments. So what exactly OpWorks here does is like you can have your AWS cloud or you can have your own data center using AWS OpWorks application management service. So you can deploy any of the code or like you can have multiple applications which is installed on that cloud in the AWS cloud, and you can have your own data center. So it's not specific to any Microsoft anything. If you have your own data center anyway, so that also you can deploy into the AWS OpWorks. And where it comes to the AWS code deployment, so generally once we have implemented some code, we'll do the deployments into the cloud, into the different instances, whether it is development or system integration or the pre-staging or the production, right? So this AWS code deployment will support in doing all that, deploy code deployments to the your existing instances in any of the data centers. This is the video of the code deployment service. Okay, I think we reached the knowledge check section. So the first question here, Patrick. So are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. So let's start with the first one. Which of the following is not a service used directly in the hybrid architecture?
I believe C is not Amazon config.
Okay, let's okay. So in this,
C.
right, I think, yeah, that's correct. Amazon config is the right answer. Yes. Okay, yep. This is the right answer. Okay, good. We'll go to the next question here. Which storage gateway option would you choose if you wanted to use every AWS storage? I think we have talked multiple times about the storage.
Yeah, which the storage will be S3. Now let me see if which storage gateway option would you choose if you wanted to use this solely? Yeah, well, I think everything after they do it gets into Gateway S3. Is that right?
Okay, so I think I'll let you know. So here initially in the cloud we'll store the data into S3, but
Yeah.
that's a primary storage, that data storage that we talked about. But what this question is asking here is like the storage gateway option would you choose if you wanted to use AWS storage. So it's like the secondary backup storage which is asking. I think in this case gateway
If it's
cache is
but they said Gateway Cache. You said it's for instance. Is that right? That
no no
is like
see.
they are readily available. Uh, okay, that's fine. Did you say it
No,
was
no,
readily
let me
available?
clear it.
Okay.
Yeah, let me clear it. So, yesterday we talked about couple of cache mechanism where they
Yeah.
store the data in the cache memory, not into the like storage area like RDS or DynamoDB,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But in this case, like generally the primary cache that like we'll be using the simple storage service as your primary data storage while retaining any data locally in your storage gateway. So so in this case the answer would be cached. So the
Okay.
primary thing is S3, but in this case it will be like a gateway cache. So let's see
Okay.
the answer here. Yeah, it's a gateway cache. So gateway cache lets you use S3 data as a your primary data storage, okay, and retain frequently accessed data locally in your storage gateway. So if you
Mm.
have some data which you wanted to frequently access, that can be stored in your S3 only. So I mean the gateway cache only. The physical storage will be in S3. Okay, what it does, the
Yes.
gateway cache lets you to use S3 service as your primary data storage. So this is where you're physically storing the data, but this is the service which will be used to get the data into S3, and that is where the data will be accessed frequently.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.